Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I am back after almost a month of not being able to fly. Wasn't able to apply the new update to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, and I had to wait for some workarounds to come out that would work for me. It was a little bit more complicated than the install the Xbox app on my computer. I had to tinker around a little bit more than that, but after almost 4 weeks, I'm back up, ready to resume the around-the-world flight, picking up from Westfield, which is Springfield, Massachusetts, at Barnes, and today we're flying into Sydney, Nova Scotia. We'll be departing on runway 20 and arriving, I believe, runway 6 left, or 60. So it'll be a fun flight. We're going to have some overcast weather. We'll be flying at a cruising altitude of 25,000 feet today, so we should get above it. We've got 6,000 feet to play with if we need some more altitude, but I don't think we're going to. Our approach into Sydney, however, should be pretty interesting. Winds are cutting across the runway at almost 20 knots, so it's going to be for a bumpy landing for sure. Total flight time today is about 1 hour and 59 minutes. The flight plans leaving out of this airport had me going an hour out of my way, so I just filed for a direct approach out to get around all that, so that shaved a cool hour off the flight time. We will be flying an ILS approach into Sydney, Nova Scotia, so we'll be doing it proper on the way down, but not so much on the way out. So, anyways, everyone please fasten your seatbelts, and we'll be up in the air here in just a few minutes. Alright. Just about completes the pre-checks. Heat is on, flight surfaces are free and clear, and brakes are unlocked. So let's go ahead and prepare for departure. Throttle's up. Brakes released. Positive airspeed. Keep the nose down for a little bit. Alright. And we're up. Gears coming up. Throttle back. This to where
Air 019er, contact Bradley, departure on 125.35. Good day.
it's
125.35, Docker 019er. Bradley departure Docker Foxtrot, Mike 1019er, is passing 900 feet, climbing 5,000 feet. Docker Foxtrot, Mike 1019er, Bradley departure altimeter 30.31, continue to Echo November Echo as planned. Docker 019er, climb and maintain 11,000 feet. Climb and maintain 11,000 feet, Docker 019er.
11,000 feet.
Docker 019er, climb and maintain flight level 180. Climb and maintain flight level 180, Docker 019er.
Right, up we go. Let's dial on 18,000. And let's engage our nav here. Get our GPS to get us back on course. Not the button I was looking for. wish this knob had a coarse and a fine select, so I could dial in thousands, hundreds, to make it a little easier, but get my finger work out on the mouse wheel for sure. Whee! 18,000. Barometric pressure is 30.31. Let's dial that in. 30.31. Last time I flew, I had this audible warning saying, actually from the ground, it wasn't an instrument warning, but they kept telling me, hey, you're not at altitude, and barometric pressure was set as recommended from ground. So I followed the recommendation, and it kept telling me the barometer wasn't set correctly. So nothing I did corrected it, and the way the simulator plays out, if something isn't set, the ground just stops giving you information that you need to fly, and I had to kind of fly around until they finally gave me landing clearance. So the only thing I could think of that caused that was this barometer here acting as the master barometer, with the barometer settings on this panel being slave to it. So what that means is, regardless of what's set here, it's going to be overrid by what is set here. So I made sure these are both set the same, and we'll see what happens. See if we get a call out and get told we're doing it wrong again. So let's increase our rate of climb here to 1,200 feet per minute, and let's give it a little bit of gas here. Dial the propellers back a little bit. It is a pretty day once you're on top of all the clouds. So yeah, I think these will be breaking up next 100 miles or so. We'll see. So I think this here might be a bug, where I look at my weather radar and I'm dialed out, you know, pretty far, maximum range, and I don't see clouds, but there they are.
Austin Center on 123.75. Good day.
So yeah, not sure.
123.75 Docker 019er. Boston Center Donner Foxtrot Mike 1019er is passing 7,200 feet, climbing flight level 180. Donner Foxtrot Mike 1019er Boston Center altimeter tree 0.32 continue to echo November echo is planned.
3, 2. Let's try that again. 3-2 there, 3-2 there. So we'll see what happens today. Let's get our wind bug up. I wish that wasn't so buried. Kind of wish it was like right here. And I wish this were active, the weather radar controls. Not sure what that would give us, but it would be nice to tinker around with that, see what it is capable of. Alright, all of our heaters are turned on. We should not have any de-icing going on. And let's bring the flaps up. I forgot to raise them right after takeoff, so there we go. So we're pretty much flying in a straight line. Where we're landing in Sydney, Nova Scotia is really right up here. We're going to divert out over the ocean for part of the flight, but then we're make landfall the southern tip of Nova Scotia and line up for our approach. So quick final today. We're coming in from the south. We're going to make a right turn to the east and a left turn to the north, and we should be on the ground after that final left-hand turn. So I'll keep you posted. Remaining flight time today is about 1 hour and 46 minutes. So yeah, looks like the weather is not so bad up here. Our crosswind right now is only 6 knots, so yeah, go ahead and smoke them if you got them. Our next nav waypoint is not so close, 21 minutes away. So yeah. I believe live weather is turned on. Yep. Live weather and time. It is 8:20 a.m. East Coast time, my time. So. The next flight that I'll make on the Around the World series, I'll have to look at the flight map, and we'll definitely need a full load of fuel for that. I'd like to go from Nova Scotia into Greenland if that's possible. Range-wise, I think it is. If not, I'll end up stopping at somewhere in Iceland, like Keflavik or somewhere like that, which is the southwest coast, I believe, of the island, or the west coast. So I think Keflavik and Reykjavik are both in Iceland, and not Greenland, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, stay tuned. I'll know more about that here in about 5 or 6 hours. So, makes it easier to plan for something when you're at point A going to point B, or actually, if you have multiple points A through Z, and you want to plan S to T, it's a lot easier to do that planning when you're actually at S instead of A. Because the way the map works in this is it gives you a highlighted range on the flight map of everything that is within the range of your fuel load at that time. So today I only have half a load of fuel, yeah, 2/3 almost, and that'll get me approximately 900,000 nautical miles, whereas a fuel load of fuel should give me around 1,006. So I think with a fuel load of fuel, the west coast of Iceland shouldn't be a problem. And maybe even the west coast of Greenland, I'm not sure. So once again, my geography is really terrible, but I believe as we fly to the east from Nova Scotia, we will eventually see Iceland before Greenland. I think that's how the land masses are laid out. So. And then moving on forward from Greenland, then we'll shoot for Ireland as our first landfall as we cross the Atlantic. So should be fun. Can't wait. So I've got some lost time to make up, and I'm doing this today on Saturday. And I'm thinking maybe midweek, if I have a day where I can wake up a little bit early and kill 3 hours, I might crank out a second video each week for the next couple weeks to make up for lost ground. So yep, stay tuned, and we'll see what pops out. Wind up here right now is completely calm at 1 knot crosswind, coming across from the east to west. So yeah, not so bad, not so bad at all. Actually coming from southeast to northwest, but I'm gonna go off mic for a sec. I'll be right back.
Connor, 019er climb and maintain flight level 240. Climb and maintain flight level 240 Docker, 019er. 1019er. Contact Boston Center on 128.325. Good day. 128.325 019er. Boston Center Foxtrot Mike 1019er is at flight level 185 climbing flight level 240.
Foxtrot Mike 1019er Boston Center, continue to echo November Echo as planned.
Well, it looks like the barometer question is sort of answered. It looks like I will have to set both of those. I won't know for sure unless I set 1.01 off, but yeah, I'm just too lazy to fidget with that today. I just want one flight where I'm not troubleshooting where I'm going from Massachusetts to Nova Scotia for a nail-biting landing with some hefty crosswinds. So I checked the map this morning, the live weather map, and looks like everything's going to be pretty free and clear. No clouds were really anywhere close, so I'm not sure what the weather is going to be like, if clouds will move in or form in the local area. That's always a possibility, but for the time being, with the exception of the crosswinds in the local area of Nova Scotia, it should be a pretty easy flight in, but we'll see how bad it is once I turn autopilot off for our landing, and we'll go from there. If it is really bumpy, I just want to apologize in advance, and yeah, please keep your breakfast on the inside. So if you could kindly limit today's journey to a 12-pack of beverage. Don't want to have to clean anything up. And yeah, while the seatbelt sign's off, feel free to live it up a little bit. Like I said, smoke them if you got them, and enjoy the ride. Just kidding. Don't enjoy the ride. Ah, coffee went down wrong. Looks like we are about 10 minutes, 9 minutes and 51 seconds away from our checkpoint, where we'll make a slight right-hand turn, headed towards the northeast, going out over the North Atlantic and making landfall in Nova Scotia. Now, forgive me now, my geography is super awful, but I believe that's British Columbia, BC. So I'm not too familiar with that area of Canada. More familiar with Vancouver, Ontario, Montreal, those areas. So I know Montreal is not a territory, it's contained within a territory, I think. So yeah. Displayed a message on the wind indicator right there. I'm not sure, but I think it just said no wind speed. So, oh, no wind data. Okay, interesting. First time I've seen that, so yeah, I'll take it as normal. About 2,000 more feet before we're there, and once we've leveled off, I will do the final propeller trim. Doesn't need that much, but we're going to lose a little bit of airspeed in a climb doing that. So just rather make sure we're there, and looks like we're about there, and we're leveling off. So I'm going to pick our airspeed up to 220 if we can get there, and that'll give us a pretty good cruising speed. That's airspeed, not ground speed. Our actual airspeed is 292 knots in climbing, so yeah, usually 210 will give us around 300, which is our actual speed. So.
$019er contact Boston Center on 128.2. Good day.
Good day. A.
128.2 $019er. Boston Center Docker Foxtrot, Mike 1019er, flight level 240.
Docker Foxtrot, Mike 1019er, Boston Center, continue to Echo November Echo as planned.
Echo November Echo is this next checkpoint right here on our GPS map. So, yeah, should be a smooth transition. Looks like we just transitioned through a little bit of denser air here. Seems like the haze is picking up a little bit, and I'd imagine the winds will as well. So, I think that's New Hampshire down there. Yeah, pretty. Kind of want to make a stop for some syrup.
Please expedite your climb flight level 240.
Yeah, there it is. At 240.
Please expedite your climb flight level 240.
Now that's going to be annoying. Sometimes you see, like here's altimeter 3031, and later I was requested to change to 30.32.
$019er, please expedite your climb flight level 240.
32. 32. So, yeah. Unless that goes to 29.92 as a ground reference. So let's do that. So testing comes early.
$019er, please expedite your climb flight level 240. $019er, please expedite your climb flight level 240.
We're there on both, dude. So. I don't know. I really don't. I'll be right back.
$019er, please expedite your climb flight level 240. $019er, please expedite your climb flight level 240. $019er, please expedite your climb flight level 240.
Alright, I think I fixed it by reading some stuff on Google. So it looks like after one of the recent patches in the summer, apparently in the United States, once you exceed a certain altitude, in this case it's 18,000 feet, and it can be different from country to country all over the world, but it says that once you transition above that altitude, you have to set your barometer or your barometric pressure to a standard value, which is 29.92. So a simple workaround that works, according to what I read, most of the time for some people and only some of the time for others, is to hit the B key on the keyboard, and this will set your barometric pressures automatically. So that's what I did earlier. I pushed B and I watched the pressure dial back down to 29.92. So yeah, that's where we are right now. Haven't received a nasty message from the ground, so I'm gonna take that as problem solved, and I'll be thankful for it. So I will just have to remember from now on, once I transition above 18,000 feet, hit the B key. Once I move below it, hit the B key once again, and I should be good. So that's where we are with barometric pressures. Geesh. Alright. I'll be right back. Alright, should be the Atlantic below us for almost the remainder of the flight. Won't be too far off the coast, but I believe that's Maine below us, right over there to our left. Hey Maine, what's going on? And yeah. And then just ocean for a very long time in that way. Pretty simple flight today. We took off from Westfield and followed the ground for our local transitions out of the area. And once we were on our way to intercept ENE, we flew to 18,000, intercepted ENE, and topped out at 24,000. And then learned that once we transitioned past 18,000 to set the barometric pressure to standard, which is 29.92, to have the ground cease calling us and telling us to transition to the correct altitude, and that seems to have worked, so one problem solved. There's a key on the keyboard, letter B, and if you push that, it's supposed to do everything auto-magically for you, and I like quick, simple, and easy, so I'm going to go with it for the time being. So I'm going to make that final prop and fuel trim, and looks like that's it right there. Alright, propeller is trimmed. Look at that down there. That's pretty. So earlier in the week I was fidgeting with getting the game patch to apply, and that's the last big patch, which I think is number 6 or something like that, number 6 world update. And I was happy just to get that working, and planned out this this flight to Nova Scotia. It looked like a good launching point for the next flight, so I don't have a lot of time today. My daughter's car we had taken to a local garage to have some repair work done, and they close at noon today, so I've got to go pay them so I can pick it up later when my wife comes home from work. So fun. But next weekend I'll have probably a good 6 hours to commit to a long flight, so yeah. And then this week, maybe Wednesday or Thursday or Friday, if I can manage to roll out of bed early enough, I'll make an extra flight this week and an extra one for the next couple weeks. See how that goes. And something else I did was I looked at my NVIDIA driver's utility panel, and it has some master settings for games that the drivers recognize as being NVIDIA Game Day ready or optimized for NVIDIA graphics cards. And in there for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 was the master settings that would also always default to medium, which is where I had it back when I had my old computer. Wouldn't really do much past medium, and I set everything to ultra, and that's where they're at. And no hiccups, no bumps, no aberrations. One of the things I was seeing before the last two patches, when I would change my view left or right, we'd see these big swaths of no land that would just pop in magically as they were loaded, and that was kind of a deal breaker for me. I didn't much like that, so I had to just kind of keep looking ahead, and everything was normal, looking straight out the windscreen. So I just did that. So yeah, it's really nice to be able to have full functionality. So good job, Microsoft, on that one, guys and girls. So yeah, I'm from New England, so every group of people we just usually call guys. These guys, those guys, bunch of guys.
$019 or contact Boston Center on 133.45.
45. 5. That drives me nuts.
133.45 for Docker 019er.
It's all the same voice.
Boston Center Docker Foxtrot, Mike 1019er, flight level 240. Docker Foxtrot, Mike 1019er, Boston Center, continue as planned.
About 1 hour remaining in the flight today. 1 hour and 4 minutes. But I think we're going to pick up some time, because right now we have a 27 knot tailwind, so that's going to push it along real nice. You can see even with my props fully trimmed, we're gaining airspeed, and that's due to the tailwind. So I'm going to pull the throttle back just a little bit and start bleeding some of that airspeed off. We're approaching our max limit for speed, so yeah. Now, one thing I wish is Microsoft would get the voices real. I don't know if it's something on my end or on Microsoft's, but been reading a lot of message boards, and some people say the voices sound real to me. Different accents in different areas of the U.S. and different accents in different parts of the world, but to me they all sound like the same Midwestern voice. And yeah, it was kind of cool the first couple times, but it gets a little old. When I land in Japan, I don't expect someone to tell me to turn my radios to 133.55. But there it is. Maybe that's how they talk in Japan, I don't know. we've consumed about half our fuel load so far, so should be good to go at landing. Should land with about 5%, maybe 10, we'll see. I think we're getting up to northern Maine off the left wing there, and pretty soon we should be in Canadian airspace. I think this is the transitional point right here, where we leave United States airspace and we enter the airspace of another country. Yay! And we'll be seeing a lot of other countries, and it's going to be a long time before we get it back into the United States. But I don't plan on doing a simple fly here to there, although a lot of this, actually all of it, will be fly from here to there. But I want to zigzag all over the planet, so I don't want to make Europe a straight shot, or Africa or the straight shot, or the Middle East, or Russia or China or Asia, even the US. So I plan on kind of working my way all over the place. So we might go France to Italy and back to Spain and over to Germany and maybe south into Italy for some more fun around there. So then maybe into Greece or Turkey, or who knows. We'll see how the mood strikes us when we get to that point. So I'll start talking like Golem. See how the mood strikes us, my precious. Something like that, anyways. So my allergies are just running something fierce today. So sorry about the coughing, but my sinuses are draining down the back of my throat, and I have to keep moving that stuff out. So sorry about the cutouts here and there. And it looks like this next waypoint, Alex, ALLEX, that we hit in slightly under 4 minutes. I think they're going to tell us to switch radios to a Canadian air frequency and be in contact with Canadian ground controllers at that point. So I'm curious to see if we detect a change in accent, because I would not expect to hear the Midwest Minnesota accent in Canada. And I've met a few people over the years from this part of Canada, and they don't sound like that. So yeah, we'll see. No more here in 2 minutes and 57 seconds. I'd just like to hear an A, you know? I've known a few people from Canada over the years, and God bless them. A lot of people in the U.S. just give them ungodly amount of grief over their accent, and I don't get that. I've never understood that, and frankly, I am completely befuddled as to why that is. But I wonder if Canada has some good IPA style beers. I've never had a Labatt's. Not really a lager person. I prefer ales. I made my own beer for almost 10 years, and that's all I made was ales. I love the style. I love the unique flavors that come from mixing yeast with grains. And one thing I'm not really big on when it comes to lagers is the yeast itself. So ale yeast is a warm fermenting yeast. Most ale yeast will ferment just fine from mid 60 degrees Fahrenheit all the way up into the low 80s. And some of the French farmhouse ales will even go up well beyond 105 degrees and still produce really good beer.
019er, contact Moncton Center on 124.3. Good day. 124.3 Donner, 019er.
Let's see if we hear that.
Moncton Center, Donner, Foxtrot, Mike 1019er, flight level 240. Donner, Foxtrot, Mike 1019er, Moncton Center, continue to Alex at plant.
Yeah, it didn't really sound Canadian to me, but yeah, French farm ale is very interesting because when you push yeasts outside their comfort level, i.e. very warm or very cold, they can do really interesting things as living organisms themselves. And one of the things they do is produce really unique flavors that they otherwise wouldn't have done unless pushed to an extreme temperature. And some of those flavors can be like bubblegum or intense fruits, or they can just taste like rubbish if you're not careful, and taste like hot alcohol, which is like really bad hooch. So I've had some really good farm ales that I thoroughly enjoyed. But IPA style beer is something that I was never a big fan of, but over the years different friends would say, hey, you like IPAs? And I'd say, yeah, I've tried them. And they make recommendations, and some of those recommendations were really good. So a coworker of mine, I won't mention her name now without her permission, but I've known her for since 2004, and both her and her husband are big into IPAs, and she was the one that kind of pushed me out of my my comfort zone, and I'm glad she did that because I thoroughly enjoy them. Now, one of the things I liked about brewing ales, especially for competitions, and I've only entered 2 of those in my entire life, and most of my competitions were friends, but I really enjoy the flexibility of the ale style of beer, because it's very broad. If a lot of beers, like if you make a white IPA or a brown IPA, stylistically, it has to have a color ranging from here to here, and alcohol of no more than this and no less than that. And you've got some freedom to move around. But, people expect the hops to have a certain taste and the grains to have a certain taste. Whereas ales had these broad ranges where it can be almost any color. It can be from hop levels can be from almost non-existent to almost IPA level. And one of the things I always enjoyed doing when I brewed is one of my batches would be an ale that was pushed close to being an IPA. And when I first started making beer, my wife would always be willing to try my batches, and she gave me the best advice. She would say, hey, tastes like shit, or tastes less like shit than your last batch, and I really like this one flavor coming through. And that would give me something to focus on and think about, well, what's causing that flavor? Is it hops? Is it yeast? Is it grains? And you know, she was wonderful. This batch was, I liked the color, I liked the smell, but it tasted too much like oatmeal, or it tasted too much like breakfast cereal, for example, or it was too sweet. And I thoroughly respect and appreciate her opinion when it comes to brewing beer. And a lot of my friends would go, yeah, that's all right. Well, what do you like about it? It's beer. Well, besides it being beer, what do you like about it? It's in my glass. So, yeah, I love my friends and all that, but you know, when your buddy's asking for some honest feedback, you know, just lay it on me. I'm a big boy, I can take it. So, yeah, over the years, I went from it tastes like shit to this is really freaking awesome beer. And once I learned where certain flavors came from and how to obtain them, and how to control the thickness of my beer, and do I want more flavor or more alcohol for this style, I was really able to kind of fine-tune some of those variables to where the outcome, instead of being a mystery, would become an expectation. I expect this outcome to produce a beer that's dark yellow but not brown, at 7% alcohol, with these flavors. These flavors from the grain, these from the yeast, and these from the hops. And I was able to get that on probably 90% of my batches. So, especially with using software, with using Beersmith, that was extremely helpful software. Once as a home brewer, you get all of your variables dialed in. One of those, for example, is brew kettle, and the software has built-in variables for different size kettles, stainless steel this, copper that, but I wasn't going with a kettle that had predefined metrics attached to it. So the software had a 10-gallon kettle, and mine was 9, so I had to adjust everything manually. And you would think it would be as simple as, oh, that's a 10% difference, I'll just offset everything by 10%, but no, because thermodynamics and these things come into play that are way over my head, and it was about a year's worth of trial and error until trial became success. So, yeah. So, yep. So IPAs, I really enjoyed making, and the thing with lagers is the yeast provides what's called a unified flavor profile. So it might give you flavors of, let's say, you know, a little bit of the yeast. It might give you a flowery flavor from the hops, but it all kind of blends into one flavor, and it's very difficult for the average palate to discern one flavor from another, as they all flow across your palate as one distinct flavor. So that's one thing I don't like about lagers. To me, they all taste the same with very little variability. Now, if anyone's watching this and you want to recommend to me a lager that fits the requirements of what I'm talking about, of being something truly unique and different, I'd be more than happy to drink a 6-pack of it if I can find it in my local beer store, or order it on the internet, which I don't know if they'll do that or not. But Yep. So ales was where my focus always was, and not on lagers. Plus, the lager yeast is cold fermenting yeast, and you have to ferment it in a refrigerator. And I do have what's called a Keyser, which is a chest freezer with the top removed with a wooden collar, and the top sits on that collar, so I can accommodate a fourth 5-gallon keg in it instead of just 3, because the compressor hump sits off in the corner and one of the kegs has to sit up on top of that, and if you do that you can't close the top. So I made that collar and just moved the lid up to it to accommodate for that distance. And yeah, but I didn't want to brew lagers in that, because that would take one of the batches off tap while the lager would be brewing in it. Plus my storage temperatures for the kegs were at a lower temperature than what lagers would ferment at, you know, upper 40s, low 50s, where my Keyser set is set at 38. So yeah, found that to give the best cold pour, especially during the summer when it's super hot outside. So yeah. Anyways, like I said, Labatt's was the only lager I've tried, and to me it's good. It's not bad beer, but it just tastes like any other lager I've had before. So, and that's not a slight on Canada in any way. It's just this is what my taste buds are like, and this is what I like and what I don't. So. Alright, roughly 45 minutes of flight time remaining, and we've got one more transition right here. We'll probably get instructions to begin our descent once we make this checkpoint right here. This checkpoint right here is probably where we're going to start descending, and right after this we're probably going to begin our initial approach into the local area of Sydney, Nova Scotia. Never been there before, so I'm kind of anticipated to see what the surrounding area is like. So it's got to be better than that view right there, right? So yeah. So I'm not sure if this software authentically mimics what we see on the ground seasonally, but today is October 9th, and it's still green down there. I would expect to see a lot of brown, so yeah, I don't know if that's normal or not, but I'm thinking it's not. So yeah. Now watch tomorrow, everything will turn white and brown and dead and sleeping for the winter. So we shall see. We shall see.
Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear.
My bad. So the co-pilot in the plane here, which you can't see here, but you can see on some of the outside views. Let's just go to external. There she is. That's supposed to be my wife. So she gets a chuckle every time I show her that. Hey, there you are. She has no interest in flying, doesn't want to know how to fly, but she's from the Philippines, and I did a few videos flying around, and she gets into that because she hasn't been home to visit in a very long time, and some of her family recently got smartphones, and now she can do the Facebook video chat thing, which is really cool. So it's something her family has never had access to. We've always relied on the post or the mail system to deliver mail back and forth, and you can just imagine how long it takes to get a letter back and forth. It's not a 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 day thing, but like a 2-week kind of a thing. So yeah, so really nice. Definitely be spending some time there flying around. I want to show everyone some of the things that were there when I was there. Mount Pinatubo, for example, was a dormant volcano when I arrived in 1988 to Clark Air Base, and I believe it was in 89 or no 90 was when we had the earthquake, which was centered up north in Baguio, which is where Camp John Hay was. And it was a big earthquake. The epicenter was 8.8 on the Richter scale, which is fairly massive. And we were about 100 miles away to the south, and we had aftershocks of it was like 7.8. And that was the first time I have ever witnessed an earthquake firsthand, and it's scary to see a row of cars in a parking lot just bouncing up and down, and this is before car alarms, so car alarms weren't going off, but I was sitting on my friend's car and I looked at him and I said, "Stop shaking the car, man." He's like, "I thought you were shaking it." And we looked up and down and noticed all the cars were bouncing, and it's like, wow, didn't know the ground could do that. So yeah, definitely does. So not too long after that, Mount Pinatubo awoke, and about a year later it erupted. But from where I used to work, you could go out the back door and just look straight ahead, and you could see the steam coming off in the horizon from the volcano. And if the wind blew off to our direction, which I believe was the west or southwest, the smell of sulfur was disgusting. So thoroughly disgusting. Not a smell I'd care to have to endure every day. You know. So yeah, I'd like to go back and, you know, if all the ground data or the photogrammetry data is based on big maps or Google Maps, then it should be what I would assume to be realistic, but never know. But anyways, Mount Pinatubo and Mount Arayat are still there, so at the very least we can see those, and might even do like a late afternoon flight and kind of fly around and come back after sunset. So this should be for a pretty flight day. So I hate to admit it, but geography is not a strong point of mine. So yeah, no, that's Canada down there. I am assuming it's all Nova Scotia, but I could be wrong. So please forgive my ignorance of geography. Looks like we have about 11 minutes before our transition point, and I'll be right back. Alright, we're back. Not too bad for running at maximum settings. I've flown close to the ground over the last couple of videos and didn't really see anything that I would say is a bad frame rate, but yeah, it seems like my CPU is the bottleneck, which I would expect that. It is a multi-core processor, but it's one of the cheap ones, so it's like a Intel 9700K or an F, and one of those models has all the bells and whistles and cost a lot more, and the one I have is lacking all that, so yeah, what doesn't surprise me that the processor
Moncton Center, Donner Foxtrot, Mike 1019er, flight level 240.
Donner Foxtrot, Mike 1019er, Moncton Center, continue to Yankee Hotel, Zula West Planned.
Alright, let's dial in 18,000. I know that's coming up, and I know it's on our flight plan. So one thing I don't like about this, you start adjusting knobs and you hit a speed bump and then it zooms you out because you're not moused on the exact knob anymore because of that bump. And I like those bumps. It's realistic to me, but it's kind of a pain in the butt when you hit one when you're spinning a knob and all of a sudden everything goes a little wonky. So I'm going to close the frame rate window. I was just curious to get a peek at it, and just leave that off for the remainder of the flight. So, coffee. No idea what that was all about. So, okay. As soon as we are instructed to descend, we'll pull the throttles back and start our slowdown and our descent into the local area. So, looks like we're still about 100 and something miles away, and about 170 miles before we start our approach into the area. So, our approach will happen much sooner than 170 miles, but probably have about 120 to go before we begin initial approach. So, in anticipation for our descent, we'll retard the throttle a little bit and bring our airspeed down to about 200 knots. Day outside. It's approximately 9:35 a.m. East Coast time, and I'm not sure what time zone. I think we're still East Coast time, but we might be one ahead of that, so we'll see. See if we land at 11 something. It's the only thing I never liked when I was traveling a lot, when you would go, go east, you lose time. So if you're in California and you lose 3 hours, sleeping is tough that way because you're not sleepy until 3 o'clock in the morning. And conversely, if you're like me, headed west, and you go to California, and you want to go to bed at 5 o'clock in the evening, or 7 o'clock in the evening, and wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, which is no fun either. So, yeah. I'd always say I didn't like time travel very much, so, and I don't, so, yeah, take it with a grain of salt. Looks like the tailwind is picked up a good bit. We had her in transition here in about 30 seconds. 1 minute, 15 seconds, so. I am anticipating the descent. Alright, retarding throttle. And as always, today we're flying the TBM 930. It's the only, I believe, the only single-engine turboprop. I'm not sure if the Cessna Caravan is a turboprop or just a conventional propeller aircraft, but that thing, it's what they use for skydiving and air tours and stuff. You can put a lot of people in it. It's like flying a bus, basically. And that one just doesn't really interest me. There's another aircraft. It's a dual prop. I've flown that a few times, and it's a fun aircraft to fly, but older avionics set. It's got the updated glass panel cockpit, but a lot of buttons are oriented kind of vertically instead of horizontally, and it always throws me off to select things. And this cockpit is a lot cleaner and a lot easier for my old eyes to find things quickly. So yeah, I was kind of hooked on it from the first time I flew it based on performance of the aircraft, but I came to thoroughly love the avionics on this, so I'm gonna stick with it. And no one's really giving away a whole lot of free aircraft, so that's one of the things. I don't go out and buy aircraft. I don't want to spend 50 bucks on an airframe for something I might only fly occasionally or once and never again at all. So yeah, I found with something I liked, and I think I'm going to stick with it. One day, however, I think I'm going to learn the other avionics. Well, I'm not sure the name of the panels, but you find them in the passenger aircraft, and there's a Cessna Citation jet that has those as well. And currently, they kind of escape me and how they work and operate. And I've tinkered around a little bit. I need to watch some videos and do some reading on how they operate exactly. But yeah, I've been wanting to fly the Citation. It's a neat little jet, and I have flown it, but not realistically. So I'd much rather come across as someone that kind of knows what they're doing, and instead of someone that has no idea at all. So yeah. Down to about 8 18% fuel remaining. We should have plenty. One flight I was making earlier this year, I think it was, I don't know, March, April. I was flying from Wyoming into Las Vegas, and everything I set reverted back to some different settings. I was supposed to be taking off on a morning flight, but real time became activated, so it was actually real local time, and it was like 5 hours later in the day, and I was talking about how it was a great early morning and the sun setting, and I thought I was flying towards Devil's Tower in Wyoming. I think that's what it's called, Devil's Tower, that mountain that was on the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And I was actually flying away from it, and nothing worked out in that flight the way I thought, and I kind of looked like someone that didn't know what the heck they were talking about, and I guess in that video I really didn't, so I try to avoid that at all costs. But yeah. If there's something I'm not good at or I don't understand, I will clearly state I don't get this, or it's not my thing, and yeah, move on from there. Alright, well, I was expecting ground to tell me to begin our initial descent, and they haven't. So I guess it's the next transition here in 9 minutes is where I should get instructions to start our descent, so we'll see. The 52 knot crosswind, that's pretty impressive. And it's no longer a tailwind, it's pretty much coming across left to right. So chop. So I think from right here to landing, we're going to get tossed around a little bit. So might want to pick up your trash and stow your garbage, and if you're on your last beverage, make it your last, and if you want one more, you've got a few minutes to crack it open and shotgun it before we pick up for our initial approach into the Sydney, Nova Scotia area, or the Sydney area of Nova Scotia, I guess would be a more correct way to put that. Airport designator is CYQY, Charlie Yankee, Queen Yankee, and we're landing on runway 6. So we'll be approaching from the southwest, landing northeast. I think we're going to have some low-level clouds, so it'll probably be a gray day when we land, but we'll see if any sun's breaking through. And you can see on the center console map here, that's where we begin our final approach right here. So we should start initial at this checkpoint. I thought I was going to be here, but I couldn't see how far off the map these were. I thought these were here, but they're all the way across the island, so we've got some time. And you can see we've already slowed down. We're under 200 knots, so it's a good place to be. It's easy to pull the throttle back and bleed airspeed off at that point. This aircraft does a really fantastic job of both gaining airspeed and losing it when you want it. And it has a super slow approach speed of like 84 knots. It is just a hair faster than like the Cessna 172. So the Cessna 172 has landing speed of like 67 knots. So it's, you know, faster than that, but it's still relatively slow compared to most larger aircraft have landing speeds of around 140, 160 knots. So move about half that speed. So yeah. I'm not sure of the published specs on the Citation that I was talking about earlier, but I think that has a landing speed of around 120, 140 knots, somewhere in that range. I could be wrong, but yeah, no, it's definitely a lot faster than this, or a little bit faster, but yeah, one day we'll find out. Maybe I'll make a second around the world in the Citation. Or something similar. We'll see what unfolds over the next year or two. So this next waypoint, no top. Some of these are funny. I know they're not meant to be funny, but accidentally funny. So no top. Minute and 40 seconds, and I would imagine we'll start transitioning for our descent at that point in time. So yeah. Everyone, you got a minute and 30 seconds to shotgun those beverages and police up. I'm just gonna go request decrease in elevation.
Dollar 019er, you are 86 miles southwest. Descend and maintain flight level 190, keep speed down about 210 knots, expect ILS runway 06 approach by Lessup transition. Clear to Lessup. Dollar 019er, descend and maintain 9,000 feet, keep speed down about 210 knots.
Alright.
Descend and maintain 9,000 feet. Keep speed not above 210 knots. Expect ILS runway 06 approach via Lessup transition. Clear to Lessup. Dollar 019er.
Dollar 019er, descend and maintain 2,000 feet.
Oh.
Descend and maintain 2,000 feet. Dollar 019er.
Usually it's a little more gentle than that, but today they're like, dive, dive, dive. So, descend we shall. Feet. Get that dialed in. All right. Map volume. This map is too quiet. I gotta turn on the map. All right. Down we go. Final correction made to our descent rate or async rate. We're not in a super huge hurry to descend 22,000 feet straight down. So 1,600 feet per minute should give us roughly 16 minutes to reach our altitude of 2,000 feet, and we've got 18 minutes until we vector on to finals, so we should be there about a minute before we get instructed to begin our final descent. At that point we'll lower flaps 1 notch, and we'll keep our airspeed around 140 as we negotiate the final turn for final, and we'll see how badly the wind beats us up coming into Nova Scotia here. I keep wanting to say Vancouver, you know. I've known a lot of people. I've known more people from Vancouver than I have from British Columbia, so or Nova Scotia, sorry. I think Vancouver is British Columbia, but I could be wrong on that, so. Take everything I say in terms of geography with a grain of salt, so. Anyways, I know for sure we are definitely in Canada, and the further we head off to the east, the more different countries we'll see, and it'll be a while before we're back in U.S. airspace. So, yeah. Would like to see once we enter British airspace if the person's like, "Oi, mate," or yeah. I know that's more of an Australian accent than a British accent, but yeah, I'd kind of like to hear something different than those 2 or 3 different voices I hear right now. So there's a language pack I can download. We'll see. Alright, propeller is trimmed for final approach. And our tailwind is turning into a slight headwind here, and that's what we'll be landing into. Almost this very same direction, a little bit further to the left, but yeah, same orientation we have now is very similar to the orientation we'll have on landing. So.
Dollar 019er contact Moncton Center on 118.6. Good day.
Good day.
118.6 $019er. Moncton Center Foxtrot Mike 1019er is passing 12,700 feet, descending 2,000 feet.
Dollar Foxtrot Mike 1019er Moncton Center altimeter 30.37, continue to Elizabeth as planned.
I wonder if I hit the B key, if that would... Yep, everything moves. Okay. Well, that's simple. B. For barometer. I got that. Retard the throttle a little bit more. We're starting to pick up airspeed on this part of the descent, and I don't want to get too much airspeed. I have to keep it around 160 once we level out. Alright, we're about ready to head through that. It should be pretty quick. These clouds are not that thick. I think they're only about a couple hundred feet, 1,000 at the most. I don't think they're that thick, but we'll see. Should be through it pretty quick. I don't know, a minute at the most. And earlier I had pushed this button here, which synchronizes our heading bug, which is this blue thing right here. That's called a bug. And what it does is it marks different ordinals or compass positions on this compass. And if we switch to heading mode, the aircraft will select that as our new destination to fly to. And that's kind of nice for missed approaches. You don't have to manually hold the yoke, worry about throttles and getting your aircraft repositioned for missed approach. It takes all the guesswork out of all that stuff. So yeah, it's kind of nice having that. So I like to keep it generally oriented in the same position my nose is pointed. That way if I do have to take manual control over, it doesn't try to turn me on to where it was set. For example, if it was set due north and I want to make a left-hand turn, I might not want to do that. So every once in a while I'll push this button called heading, and if you do that, it'll synchronize the bug to your actual heading. So yeah. Had to use that once already. It's quite handy. Starting running to that headwind some more, a little bit. Not so bad, 18 knots. Can live with that. Yeah, I know, we're bingo fuel, I get it. Oh. Alright. We are definitely on fumes when it comes to fuel, so I think that fuel map was a little wrong when I was planning the flight. We had enough range to go about, maybe it's right. It's like we had about another 60 or 70 nautical miles, so maybe it is correct about what I'm seeing here. I think for the remaining legs of this long flight, I'll just carry maximum fuel for just in case I make a boo-boo and need the extra gas to bail myself out. So yeah. All right, lock and chair into position for landing. Landing lights on. Sometimes I can't see those. Yeah, okay. Well, it's a pretty day. Definitely gray under the clouds. According to the barometer, something nasty is going to happen, but air pressure is really high. I guess, is a lot of clouds are going to be moving into the area here over the course of this day and maybe the next. Can't see it yet, but our runway should be over here. It's probably behind this center pillar here on the windscreen. (2,200 feet) and descending to 2,000. Throttle up. There's a pretty landscape down there. I won't say it's a pretty day, it's kind of overcast, but yeah, look at that. That'd be fun to explore in the amphibious aircraft, the Icon A5. Yeah, I know. Really, really empty. Get it. That would be disappointing if I ran out of gas, like when I'm lining up on final. I have had one time happen that flight I was mentioning earlier from Wyoming to Las Vegas. I was lined up, and about 8 miles from the runway, my engine just cuts out, and I was like dumbfounded, didn't know how to take that, and it was a crash landing. Was able to land on this secondary road next to a subdivision and walked away from it, or at least Microsoft gave me the landing, said I landed and not crashed, so I'll take it for what it's worth. I guess any landing you walk away from is a good landing, so yeah. We should be on the ground here in about 10 minutes or so. So I'm not going to slow down much past, much below 170 until we're on final there. So we should land with, I don't know, a little bit of fuel on both tanks. I'd say around 2%, so should be good to go. That's the runway over here. Alright. Finish up this coffee. Airport spotted in sight. Runways in sight, way off in the distance or on the horizon, but they're there. I see the lights. And this airport has got 3 runways, 2 that kind of run somewhat parallel with each other, and a third one that kind of crosses over from northwest to southeast. It's that middle runway we're going to land on. It's the longest of the 3. And since the wind is blowing right at us, we have almost a direct in landing. So we're coming kind of straight in, but here in a few minutes we're going to make a right turn followed by a quick left turn for a short final. So landing is going to happen pretty quick today. I'm not sure why they had to get us below 2,000 feet. Fly out an IFR flight plan, so it shouldn't matter if we're above the clouds. If we can't see the airport or the ground, we should be able to land on the instruments. So, yeah, I don't know if this is something that would happen in real life or if this is something conjured up for the sim. So. Not sure. Chair locked. Feet on rudders. Rudders check. Alright. We should be starting our turn here. Well, shit. We're out of gas.
Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear.
Well,
Landing gear. Landing gear.
it looks like
Landing gear.
we're going to land a little
Landing
bit
gear.
sooner than I
Landing
anticipated.
gear. Landing 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 gear.
No,
Landing
autopilot, no.
Landing gear. Landing gear.
Stalled. 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 Stalled.
Landing gear.
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 Stalled.
Landing gear. Landing gear.
Oh.
Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear.
I
Landing
don't
gear.
think we're going to make that,
Landing gear. Landing gear.
but you never know.
Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing landing gear, landing gear, landing gear, landing gear, stall, landing gear, 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 stall, 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 landing gear, stall, landing gear, stall, landing gear, stall, landing gear, landing gear, landing gear, stall, 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 landing gear, landing gear, landing gear, stall, landing gear, landing gear, landing gear, landing gear, stall, landing gear, landing gear, stall, landing gear, landing gear, landing gear, landing gear, landing gear, landing gear,
I don't think we're gonna make it.
landing gear, landing gear, landing gear, stall, stall,
$019er, you are 10 miles west of Charlie Yankee, Quebec Yankee.
landing gear, landing
Daughter 019er.
landing gear, stall, stall,
Charlie Yankee Quebec Yankee traffic Dahmer Foxtrot, Mike 1019er 9er miles west inbound ILS runway 06.
landing gear,
Charlie Yankee Quebec Yankee traffic Dahmer Foxtrot, Mike 1019er is on final runway 06 to land.
stall, landing gear, stall, landing gear, stall, 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 landing gear, landing gear,
Well,
landing gear,
I don't think we're gonna make landfall.
stall,
So let's
stall, stall,
land in a river.
landing gear, landing gear, landing gear, stall, 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 landing gear, stall, 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 stall,
All right.
stall, 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 landing gear, stall, 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 landing gear,
Well,
landing gear,
any flight you walk away
Landing
from is
gear.
not a bad flight.
landing
So
gear,
I'll
landing
take it.
gear,
We didn't
Landing
quite
gear.
make the runway, but
landing gear,
that one's on me
Landing
for not
landing
having
gear,
proper fuel
Landing gear.
management. So
landing
landing gear is now down. All right. Well, thanks for flying with us on Disaster Airlines. I'll see you hopefully in a few days. Bye.